Waka 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 waka. 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 Waka 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 waka.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Tuff. Welcome to the last episode of Youth Yoga and the Other Thing. If you watched the first episode, you already know that we are a group of Halifax youth involved with Young Canada Television. You'll hear more about Young Canada Television later in this show. Also in this show, we have information about children and art, things to do for Halifax in Halifax for children, and Jill's letter to Haligonians. I'm here with Carrie McPherson. Carrie did an interview with Cassie Hallett about an organization called Young Canada Television. What can you tell us about Young Canada Television, Carrie?
Well, Kirsten, George Stamus joined me with Cassie Hallett, who is the youth representative of the Atlantic provinces on Young Canada Television's national board. This appears to be an exciting new project, which, with a lot of hard work, will prove to be a very worthwhile and needed organization for Canada's youth today.
Great. Carrie will be with us later on in the show to talk about things to do for children in Halifax. But first, let's go to that interview.
Hi, I'm Carrie McPherson.
And I'm George Stamus.
Tonight is Cassie Hallett from Young Canada Television.
Hi.
To what extent are you involved in Young Canada Television, or YCT?
I'm a youth member on the National Board of Directors. I'm also the Vice President of the Atlantic Advisory Council to Young Canada Television. And in Halifax, I work with a group of young people, which hopefully you two have just joined. And we've been working on producing a video and are presently working, doing PR and up at Halifax Cablevision.
How did you get involved in Young Canada Television?
When I was in high school in grade 11 and 12, I worked on our high school's television show, and in grade 12, I did quite a bit with it, acting as producer for most of the year. From there, our teacher advisor noticed my keen interest and asked me to come to a symposium held in Halifax that was just to discuss the basic idea of television aimed at youth and children. I went there and actually had to give a speech, which I didn't know I would have to do. So I did that, and from there, I was sent to Newfoundland to the CRTC hearings to present a brief on television for youth and children. And from there, the National Film Board asked me out to Winnipeg to a forming meeting of Young Canada Television, and since then I was selected to be on the board of directors.
Okay. Who is YCT aimed at?
It's aimed at Canadian children and youth, that being roughly the ages 2 to 24, but that doesn't mean that once you're 25 there won't be anything on there for you.
How will Young Canada Television be different from present television broadcasting?
The main goals for Young Canada Television are that it be non-sexist, non-racist, and non-violent. So there are three very different things from what we're presently seeing on television. Also, it's Canadian. So a great portion of the shows will be produced in Canada with a lot of youth involvement in all aspects. Television productions, on air, behind the scenes as well.
How will it be offered to the public?
Every month, anyone who has cable television pays their subscription. Young Canada Television and the French channel Télé Jeunesse Canada will simply be added to the cable package.
Okay.
And the cost will be slightly increased to each subscriber every month, but it is not pay TV. It will come with your monthly cable subscription.
Mm-hmm. And when will Young Canada Television be appearing?
That's the one thing we don't know right now. We have to wait to get a license from the CRTC. In order to get a license, they have to have hearings. Hopefully those hearings will be early in 1987. And upon receiving a license, it will take a year for enough shows to be produced and to have a studio built before we actually would be on the air. So hopefully early 1988, but I can't.
What's the goal of YCT, or Young Canada Television?
It's to offer Canadians an alternative to the television they're presently seeing, and also to offer Canadians a chance to be involved with television, to demystify television, and to really give youth and children a chance to learn about television and be involved.
If you had to stress something about Young Canada Television, something that the public could know, what would that be?
It's that we're really going to need support to be a reality. And once the CRTC hearings are announced, we're really going to be calling on the public for their support, for their help with such things as letter writing campaigns to the CRTC and to the cable companies to let those bodies know that Young Canada Television really is wanted. Otherwise, it won't happen. So public support is very important.
How would someone get involved in YCT? Contact.
They can call the National Film Board. We have someone there every day around noontime. Call and ask about Young Canada Television, and in the fall we should be needing help, especially with public relations with the group I mentioned before.
Okay. Thank you, Cassie, for joining us. This is Carrie McPherson.
And George Stamus.
For Youth Yogurt and the Other Thing.
The next article is about a center called the New Art Space. And with me is J.J. Lee, and she did an interview with them. What gave you the idea to do an interview with these people?
Well, I went into the National Film Board building for a Young Canada Television meeting, and in the lobby there was lots and lots of artwork by children, and I was really surprised that they were so sophisticated and creative.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find out about it.
Yeah, so you thought that they were advanced?
Yeah, I really noticed the technique and the use of perspective and color theory, I mean, at such a young age, which you don't usually learn until...
And you hadn't heard about them before that?
No, and I think that the New Art Space is finally a good creative outlet for youth. And I think youth really need that exposure to art.
Great.
Definitely.
Well, let's go to that article.
Hi, my name is J.J. Lee, and I'm interviewing some members of the New Art Space, a studio that's geared for encouraging the art scene from children. With me are two members, Sasha Lamond.
Hi.
And Ilza Berzins.
Hi, JJ.
Hi. First, I'm going to ask Ilza some questions. When did it first begin?
About 1.5 years ago, January 1985.
And so you teach it?
Yes, I do.
And you founded in?
Well, I wanted a center where we could have a number of activities geared for children, but also from time to time to include adults. I really like the interaction of an adult in creating a piece of artwork. And we have a number of workshops from time to time that include film, mime, fabric making, printing, music. So I do like that kind of multimedia and multi-technique approach to creative teaching and learning.
But you gear your teaching towards children. Why children as opposed to adult continuing education?
I get a great deal of energy and inspiration from teaching children. I like their lack of fear. I like their unpredictable nature. I like their openness. I mean, they're not fixated on a particular ambition or a career, and they don't really feel that they know it all. And I really enjoy that sense of adventure and discovery that I share with them.
Do the children's work or the children themselves ever inspire you in your own work?
A great deal, a great deal. I would never dare to do what I'm doing now had it not been for the teaching I've been doing and the kind of feedback I get from the kids, truly. They are keeping my artwork developing. I really believe that.
And do you ever hold out-of-door classes by the waterfront?
I'm not really fond of that. I would encourage them to do it on their own and then bring back the work, then we could work on it in the studio. I find that there's a lack of concentration and difficulty to control the children. Often they're very young, and I'm not quite comfortable in that setting. No, I will take them to the library, but I would not take them in a place where I myself don't feel completely at home.
How about art galleries? Do you expose them to art?
We do go to the galleries around town on a particular visit, and I have them usually pick a favorite painting and tell me why they like that, and then we often do a painting based on that. That I do.
What is the age range?
Anywhere from 15.
How much do you, when you teach, how much do you know how to interfere and how much to let them express themselves?
That's intuition. I mean, I may make the odd mistake, but the child will tell me very quickly when he wants to be left alone and when he wants help. I really try to get the direction from them and not impose any rigid kind of a performance from them.
And how about technique? Do you stress technique more or imagination?
Not for a young child. I think a technique comes from an older child from 12 to about 15. Then they need to know a little bit about proportion, perspective, other kinds of technical skills that they need to express what they want to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sasha, I'd like to ask you some questions. How did you first hear about the new art space?
Well, my parents wanted me to take art, and they just looked into it and found out about it.
And what was your very first impression when you first walked in?
It was roomy and had a nice view on the harbor, and they liked that.
Yeah, I noticed you have a painting from the window in the studio. What aspects of the new art space do you like? The teaching or the atmosphere? Or?
Well, the atmosphere, really, because you can do whatever you want, and there's no rule that says you have to work or something like that.
And how long have you been going there?
A year and a quarter, maybe, something like that.
Do you have any more plans in the future concerning art?
Just continue with Ilsa, probably.
And do you use any other mediums, such as clay or weaving?
Well, I use just paint and ink and sometimes oil pastels.
Thank you. Okay. We'll be back with two other members from the new art space. With me are Rachel Schlossberg.
Hi.
And Laura Evely.
Hi, JJ.
Hi. How old are you, Rachel?
11.
How old are you?
15.
What inspires you most for your paintings? Like, where do you get your ideas from?
My head and some of Paul Matheson's work.
And what's Paul Matheson's work like?
Well, from the work that I've seen, he uses a lot of pastel colors and a few dark colors, and he does geometric images and a few animals.
And what do you like to paint? Subjects?
Well, I like to paint a lot of graceful things like birds and stuff.
And what colors do you find yourself using the most?
I don't know. They're all different colors.
How about you?
I use, right now I'm using a lot of pastels, but for one of my first paintings I used a lot of very dark, bright colors.
Mm-hmm. How did you hear about the new art space?
Well, Ilsa used to teach somewhere else, and my mother called them and they told her about Ilsa.
Laura, do you have any future plans concerning art?
Yes, I plan to go to the art college.
And how about you, Rachel?
Well, I want to teach art classes like my mother.
Really? This has been JJ Lee with representatives from the new art space. Thank you.
Hi. Joining me for commentary is Carrie McPherson.
Hi. We have a question that a lot of people in Halifax have been asking, both parents and kids alike. When the summer, with its camps, organized programs, and activities is over, what is there for kids to do in Halifax? We have made an attempt to answer this question. We decided to check around Halifax for some ideas on what there is to do when fall rolls around for kids 7 to 12 years of age. Kirsten, I'll let you start.
Okay. We checked at the different libraries in the city. At the main branch library, which is located at 5381 Spring Garden Road, and the number for that is 421-6986. They're going to have weekly films and videos, and all you have to do is call for the times and the titles for those. They're also conducting a citywide art, short story, and poetry contest. All you have to do for that is submit art, short stories, and poetry by February 15th, 1987. and you just submit that at the main branch library. On Saturday mornings, they're going to be conducting a craft workshop. This is for kids roughly ages 8 to 12. This will be taking place October 11th and the 25th and December 6th and the 13th. And you call 1 week before to register. They're also going to be having an after-school club. This is also for kids ages 8 to 12. This starts October 9th on Thursdays at from 4 to 5 p.m. And there's going to be reading, games, films, crafts, and you have to call to register. There's also going to be computer time. They have 2 Apple II computers with a printer and a disk drive, and they're available for use, and you just call for info about those. At the North Branch, which is located at 2285 Goddington Street, the number for that is 421-6987. They're also going to be having weekly films and videos, and again, times and their titles. They're going to be having a reading support program, which will be a tutoring program for children with reading difficulties, and you just call for info about that. Computer literacy program. They have Apple II computers, and they're available for use, and you make appointments for weekly sessions. And for info, you have to call Janet Doyle. That's Janet Doyle at 421-6988. They're also having an art, short story, and poetry contest, and this is for children grades 1 to 6 in the North Branch area. The deadline for that is January 17th, 1987. Also, they're going to be having a reading club for ages 7 to 12, and this is going to involve arts, crafts, films, excursions, games, etc. You call Patty Healy on Saturdays in September at 421-6987. That's the regular number for the library. At the Mainland South Branch, at 10 Kidston Road in Spryfield, the number for that branch is 421-8766. They're also going to be having films and videos, and again, you call for the times and the titles. They're also going to be conducting puppet making workshops for ages 10 and up, and that's taking place November 8th and the 25th and December 2nd from 4 to 5 p.m. You call 421-8766 to register. They also have computer time and also a reading support program, and you call for info about those. Okay?
Okay, I'll start with Woozles. Woozles is located on 1533 Birmingham Street off Spring Garden Road. Woozles is a youth-oriented bookstore that offers more than books alone. Besides its wide selection of kids' literature and toys, Woozles is going to be offering various creative workshops. Some examples of workshops I've had before are creative writing and photography. You can either drop by for a newsletter or call 423-7626 for information. For those who are interested in astronomy, at St. Mary's University on Tower Road, the observatory in the Loyola building in room 155 will be open Saturdays at 9 p.m. for tours. The general public is welcome. For more information, call 429-9780 and ask for the astronomy department.
Okay, we also checked at the YWCA and the YMCA. The YWCA is located at 1239 Barrington Street. They're offering babysitting courses for children 12 and up. Aerobics courses are also offered for ages 12 and up, and computer classes also for ages 12 and up. They're also going to be having after-school programs for children of all ages. For more info, you could contact Lauren McLeod at 423-6162. Also, there will be fall brochures passed around the city at locations such as the main branch library, and you can just pick them up at the front desk of the YWCA as well. The YMCA, which is located at 1565 South Park Street, they're going to be offering study skill programs, which is an after-school program for children of all ages, karate, judo, and fencing, Manthas, which is a swimming program, but it also offers first aid, international development, and physical education, also boating safety and speed swimming. And also there's the YMCA STAR program, which is a swimming program that goes up in levels, and also a Learn to Swim program. And these will start in September. And the person you should contact for that is Helen Burns, and you should call the Y and ask at 422-6437 and ask for Helen Burns.
Okay, something to look forward to in the future. The proposed Discovery Center will be a place where kids can go to be involved creatively in various activities. Along the lines of science centers already established around North America, it will allow kids to participate actively in their learning.
So life doesn't really stop when the summer's over. There are lots of opportunities for kids to learn and have fun at the same time in Halifax. Hopefully we've helped you discover some of them. I'm Kirsten Tuff.
I'm Carrie McPherson.
For Youth Yogurt and the Other Thing.
I am Astar, a robot. I can put my arm back on. You can't, so play safe.
Hi, I'm here with Jill Punch, and Jill's written a story about, well, about what, Jill?
Well, it's a story about God and Jesus coming down to Halifax at this, this period in time and how people react to him. And I must say I'm fairly proud of the story. It won me a scholarship to go to the Nova Scotia Writers Federation conference.
Great.
And down at Church Point, Nova Scotia, and that was, an educational experience.
Well, let's go to that.
One day, a boring little girl was walking down the street. This girl was incredibly boring. She had on a Cabbage Patch t-shirt and carried around a Care Bear. She had no imagination and was opinionated, the very worst sort of boring little girl. This little girl also had blonde hair, tied to 2 pigtails by enormous pink ribbons. This made her look all the more boring. She always wore pink ribbons because blue is a boy's color and pink is a girl's color, she'd say in a bratty tone of voice. Anyway, that very same day, God decided to send J.C. back to Earth. He felt the Earth needed some religious fervor and fast. God rolled over on his whipped cream chaise lounge and said, "J.C., old boy, go check on those fleshy things I made." J.C. went because he was told, but he was a bit tense. Last time he was there, he hadn't had a good time. He never told his father this, though, because J.C. was supposed to be very religious and all. In reality, J.C. just wanted to be left alone, but he was being pressured into the family business. J.C. appeared in front of this little girl on her way to school in good old Halifax, Nova Scotia. He was wearing the whole robe and long hair bit. He kind of liked blue jeans, but the big guy had drawn the line there. "No jeans, J.C. Do you want to look like a yahoo?" The big guy always wore togas and ties. He was very conservative. Anyway, old J.C. suddenly appeared in front of this little girl. He was pleased with his entrance because he had arranged for a wild wind and strains of joyous music to accompany him, and the angels had gotten their cue right for once. He stood there shining and glowing, beautiful music bouncing off his rib cage. He felt very holy and profound, and the little girl walked right by. J.C. was a bit miffed. Then he spotted a metallic headband between 2 enormous pink bows. "Aha!" he thought. "It's one of those dad-forsaken Watmans." He smiled, remembering that in the good old days in Jerusalem, he always had to compete with the bleats of sheep to get people's attention. He waved his hand and the Watman disappeared. The boring little girl turned around. "Hey, where's my Watman?" she whined. "Hello," said J.C. in his smooth, night-on-the-town voice. "Do you know who I am?" "No, you silly hippie! Now, where's my Watman?" She stomped up and down and generally made a scene. J.C. had met people like this before, so he tried to deal with the situation in a mature manner. "Betsy," he said. He always got a kick out of saying humans' names to them, as it always scared them off. "I am Jesus Christ, and I am here because my Father is going to give you and the human race one more chance." He waited for reaction. There was none. The child shifted her weight to one side, squinted her eyes, and put a hand on her hip. "Haven't I seen you somewheres before?" she asked, in a skeptical sort of way. Shades of Thomas, thought J.C., but he didn't want to start reminiscing, so he started talking. Yes, you have. I'm all around you. I'm part of you. You see, I am the son of..." But the girl interrupted. Yeah, you're that raisin pudding guy who used to hypnotize people in Russia. I saw you on Ripley's Believe It or Not." "Do you know who God is?" asked J.C., a bit afraid of the answer he thought he'd get. He was never sure as his father was. "Sure, he's the guy the Pope goes on about." "Boring," said the little girl, who was, as we all know, less than exciting herself. "Who? God or the Pope?" J.C. was really teed off. He felt sort of Old Testament-ish. He found the Pope a bit tedious himself, because he was always nattering at him and his dad, Forgive this, bless this, nag, nag, nag. The Pope was always prayers. J.C. was tired of hearing the same thing over and over, especially in Latin, a language J.C. never could fathom. He hated to admit it, but he enjoyed tuning into less than religious thoughts. He was a psychic voyeur. He remembered how he laughed at Freud's thoughts and theories. Who? God or the Pope? Repeated J.C. Both, said the brat, and resumed searching through J.C.'s ethereal glow for a Watman. Old J.C. was mad. He felt wrathful like his old man used to. He was so mad he contemplated creating a flood, or even a plague. Instead, he gave the brat a boot to the rear she'd soon not forget and walked off. He thought he'd better talk to Matthew about Matthew 18. Humble children indeed. He approached about 100 people that day. 75 of them had Watmans on, and not one of them believed him. He was coming to the end of his rope. He remembered how when he listened to taxi drivers' thoughts, they were always calling everybody else crazy. Maybe they had a better grip on reality. He found a cab and got inside, but the cab driver didn't notice him as he was listening to his Watman. Instead of blasting the Watman off the cabbie's head, as he would have done, he just tapped the cabbie on the shoulder. Tap, tap, tapped J.C. The cabbie turned around. He had on a T-shirt which read, "Firemen make better lovers." J.C. was not impressed. "Where to?" screamed the cabbie. J.C. answered in his best imitation of his father's Old Testament voice. "I am the Son of God." "How about those Expos?" shouted the cab driver, thinking his passenger had said McDonald's. J.C. stopped the cab, using his psychic mind brakes, and jumped out. He knew what he had to do, and he did it. J.C. transported to L.A. and called on two of the more musical angels and Peter. J.C. thought Peter would do well, as he was always flying off the handle, chopping ears off, and denying things. He would fight fire with fire. Because of their long hair, the transformation was fast. They were the newest sensation. Everywhere, people were buying tapes of the Lone Rider and Calvary, the strangest heavy metal group around. They listened to them on their Watmans, and the subliminal messages sometimes seeped into people's brains. A few even became Christians, but the world was trendy, and the religious feelings soon died. One day the big guy said, "J.C., old boy, I've had enough of this tomfoolery. Those fleshy things are defective. They're going to blow themselves up. Get up here. I'll need your help for planning a new improved race. We'll make them all blue. Ho, ho, ho." God laughed heartily. So J.C. and his group staged a fake car accident and went up to heaven. J.C. was disappointed with his mission. He hoped this new race would be better. At least he didn't get crucified this time, he thought, dodging a cherub wearing a Watman. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Youth Yogurt and the Other Thing. It's certainly been a learning experience for us with our first experience with television. We'd like to thank Michael Boyd for all his help. We'd also encourage you to write your local CRTC member or this cable station and urge them to give Young Canada Television a broadcasting license. Thank you.
Waka 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 waka